Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for...
It's the Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy's Sports Ticket, 1430 AM and 99.5 HD2.
What's going on? It's the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy's Sports Ticket. Hopefully you guys are having a nice week. Hopefully you had a nice weekend. I had a great day yesterday. Went over to a friend's house, had a Friendsgiving last night. We all sat around, watched the Colts game, made fun of each other. It was a blast, an absolute blast. So shout out to my friends who hosted that. And watching that Colts game yesterday, it was a really, truly just an electric experience. Okay, because Anthony Richardson was awesome. The offense outside of Anthony Richardson wasn't present in the second half, and he figured it out anyway. The defense, I know they gave up 27 points, but I thought that they played well. Special teams was good aside from the kick-catch interference penalty on Ashton Doolin that shouldn't have been called because he was clearly blocked into the returner. And before I talk about the offense, before I talk about the defense, and before I talk about how great Anthony Richardson was, really going to dive into his performance at probably 10-20, I very quickly want to hit on special teams. Special teams is like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Like, unless something goes catastrophically wrong, it never gets mentioned. Okay? Like, you have this set expectation for special teams, just like how you have a set expectation for a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Everyone knows what a peanut butter and jelly sandwich should taste like, and it's kind of boring. If someone gives you one, like, you aren't going to rave about it like you would a steak. Okay, the only way you're going to talk about a peanut butter and jelly sandwich is if the bread is moldy or something is significantly wrong with it. Outside of that, you're not going to notice it, and you're not going to complain or rave about it. Just like how with special teams, unless they give up a return for a touchdown, unless they miss a field goal, unless a field goal is blocked, or something like that, like, you're not going to say anything about it. When it's good, it's because nothing crazy happened. Okay, and the Colts special teams didn't give up any big returns. Matt Gay made all three of his field goals, made all of his extra points. That is a great day for special teams. Now, let's talk about the offense. That was the best we've seen from this Colts offense all year. Shane Steichen and Anthony Richardson have been under fire all year, and rightfully so, because before yesterday, Anthony Richardson was completing 44% of his passes. Before yesterday, the Colts offense looked antiquated. It looked old. It looked boring. There was no juice. It was 5 straight weeks of not surpassing 20 points. And look, Shane Steichen, offensive guy, offensive genius. That's what he was supposed to be. And when you have 5 straight weeks of being unable to score more than 20 points, that is concerning. This week, however, the Colts obviously passed that. They score 28 points, and the offense had nothing but juice. I don't know about you, but that is the most fun I have had watching a Colts game in a long time. Anthony Richardson brought juice. Jonathan Taylor had some juice in the first half. Multiple receivers got involved. Shane Steichen had a great day play calling. The offense looked like what we thought it would coming into the season. A lot of running the football. The Colts ran the football 35 times yesterday. Anthony Richardson had 10 carries. Jonathan Taylor had 24. And then they ran the little reverse to A.D. Mitchell. That is 35 carries. That is beautiful. I think like a young 24-year-old handsome guy on the radio said on Friday that the Colts should run the ball 35 times if they want a chance to win. And they did that, and they won. What a shocker. It was so impressive. Jonathan Taylor was heavily involved. He had 25 touches, the 24 carries, and then the one screen that we saw in the first half. I would have liked to have seen him at like 30 touches, but the run game wasn't there in the second half, so the Colts went away from it. Okay, Jonathan Taylor in the second half only had 15 rushing yards. His longest run was for 9 yards. He had 11 carries. 15 rushing yards on 11 carries is abysmal. Okay, but I still appreciate that there was an attempt to run the football in the second half. I think too often we see teams in the NFL abandon the run a little too early. For the Colts, they didn't do that. They stayed true. They tried to run the ball. It didn't work like it did in the first half, where Jonathan Taylor had 13 carries for 42 yards, which isn't much better. But there was enough success in the first half to keep handing it off and to trust Jonathan Taylor running the football. So the Colts, the run game wasn't great, but I appreciate that they gave Jonathan Taylor 25 opportunities to break a big one and to have a legitimate impact on the game. I think it made things easier on Anthony Richardson, because if you're asking him to throw the ball 40 times, even though he was great yesterday, I still wouldn't have liked that. The passing game, speaking of Anthony Richardson, it's the best it's been all year. Joe Flacco or Anthony Richardson in the game. Okay, it was consistent from start to finish. Even the big game that Flacco had against Jacksonville, not to dunk on him because the offense scored 34 points in that game. Like early, like the first three quarters, there wasn't a lot going. And then in the fourth quarter, Alec Pierce makes a couple big plays, and then they score a whole bunch of points. Like from start to finish, the pass game was good for the Colts. There was just a fantastic blend. Like it was so well blended, right? Like there were some deep shots. There were some easy completions underneath. There was him hitting Michael Pittman Jr. and Alec Pierce on these like 15-yard dig routes. And like it was just such a nice sight to see. Just thinking back to Anthony Richardson's last start against Houston, it was like the Colts either ran the football or they chucked it way downfield. Okay, there was no in between. And we didn't see that against the Jets. Okay, we saw some underneath stuff. We saw some slants. We saw some digs. We saw some go balls. We saw a double move late that set up the game-winning score. And that was the best the passing game has looked all year. And as great as Anthony Richardson was, and trust me, in about 13 minutes, I'm going to go crazy about how great he was. We have to recognize that Shane Steichen did a great job with the play calling. Okay, he stayed committed to the run, even in the second half when it wasn't pretty. Okay, he ran Anthony Richardson a little bit more. He had 10 carries, which is about where he needs to be. He didn't have Anthony Richardson only throw the ball deep. He ran Anthony Richardson, which was nice to see, and he got everybody involved. The Colts didn't overfeed any of the receivers. Okay, they didn't. Josh Downs had 5 receptions. Alec Pierce had 3. Michael Pittman Jr. had 5. The tight ends combined had 4 receptions. A.D. Mitchell had a big one that set up a touchdown. The ball was spread around, and that makes you harder to defend. And since the Colts don't have Travis Kelce or Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase, like you have to use everyone. And Shane Steichen did that. Okay, he gave Anthony Richardson a lot of easy completions and timed the deep shots well, right? And the best thing is he kept something in his back pocket for the last drive of the game. The last 2 drives, really. When the Colts were down 24-16, we see Shane Steichen dial up 2 big plays. He hits Anthony Richardson hits the 20-yard pass over the middle to Michael Pittman Jr., and then he hits the 19-yard pass down the left side to Alec Pierce, sets up a touchdown. Once again, I've got a rant lined up for Anthony Richardson today, but I want to drive home the point that Shane Steichen was awesome yesterday because he was. Okay, he was great. And then, the last drive, he sets up the double move to Alec Pierce, and, that ends up setting up the game-winning touchdown. Now, as great as Shane Steichen was, I have a single bone to pick. Okay, I have one thing that he did where when it happened, I was waiting for something awful to happen. Shane, why are you bringing in Grover Stewart and DeForest Buckner to block at the goal line? Like, I get it. It's like this new cool thing to bring in defensive players and have them play offense down at the goal line. But how about you just bring in like a real offensive lineman, or maybe you sign a fullback? I know teams don't do that anymore, but something like that. Let's maybe not bring in 2 defensive tackles to block, something that those guys probably haven't done since they played high school football. Okay, like why are you bringing in defensive linemen to block? That doesn't even make sense. Speaking of defensive linemen, the defense was good. I know they gave up 27 points, but 14 of them, I'm not going to really hold them at fault for, right? Because 7 of them came off the Anthony Richardson fumble, and then 7 more came off of the kick-catch interference by Ashton Doolin that gave the Jets the ball at almost the 50. And as great as the offense was, Shane Steichen noticed how well the defense played. Here is Shane Steichen after the game talking about the defense.
I want to credit our defense. That first half was lights out. I mean, it couldn't have been any better. I don't know how many 3-and-outs they had. They might have had 4 or 5 in a row. I mean, phenomenal effort by our defense.
Shane Steichen right there talking about the phenomenal effort from the defense. Outside of those 2 possessions where they were dealt a tough hand, the fumble inside the red zone from Anthony Richardson, and then the Ashton Doolin kick catch interference, that was a questionable call, to say the least. Outside of that, I thought they were awesome. Okay, the Jets got their first down of the game with a minute and 56 seconds left in the second quarter. Okay, the Colts defense came out beyond ready to play. They didn't give up a first down on the Jets' first 5 possessions for the entire game. The Jets had 8 drives where they ran 4 plays or less. So 8 drives where they didn't pick up a first down. I mean, it was just incredible. And that stat does not count the 2-play touchdown drive that the Jets had. Okay? Like, I mean, the defense was just awesome. Kwity Paye had an absolute day. 7 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, including the last, including one on the last play of the game. He gets to Aaron Rodgers, puts the game on ice. Leatu Latu had a sack and 2 tackles for loss. Jalen Jones and Samuel Womack and the rest of the secondary were great. We're going to do true takes and mistakes at 11 o'clock. And look, I was wrong about the secondary. They were incredible. Sure, Aaron Rodgers was 22 of 29. That is a very impressive completion percentage. But he only threw for 184 yards. He had less than 200 yards passing. Garrett Wilson, okay, one of the better receivers in the NFL, only had 18 receiving yards. Okay, the entire defense from the Colts played incredibly well. And as great as Anthony Richardson is or was yesterday, I'm not going to say is quite yet, as great as he was yesterday, I want to acknowledge how great Steichen was and how great the defense was. And as good as the defense was, you aren't going to hold Aaron Rodgers down forever. Okay, the Jets put together a good drive to end the first half. The Colts could have responded with the field goal heading into the half, but Michael Pittman Jr. decided to have a ball go through his hands and hit him in the face, which ruined the Colts' chance at a long field goal. But that's neither here nor there. And then the Colts come out. They're up 13-7. Anthony Richardson fumbles the ball on the second play. Ball goes back to the Jets. Not going to really tag him too hard for that fumble. He was stepping up. He was in the process of making a throw, and he got hit. Sometimes that happens to quarterbacks. Okay, and so that happens. The Jets score, and they take the lead. And it's 14-13, and I'm sitting there on my friend's couch, just like, what in the world? The Colts have dramatically outplayed the Jets. They looked so much better. And it's 14-13. I'm like, are the Colts really going to find a way to lose this game? And they didn't, because the defense found a way to get stops late. Okay, the Jets had an opportunity when it was 22-24 to put the game away. When I was sitting, with all my buddies and the Colts go for 2 after scoring that touchdown to make it 24-22, I was like, this is not a good move, because if you don't get it, if you give up a touchdown, the game is basically over, right? So the Colts don't get it. It's 22-24. If the Jets score a touchdown, they go up 9. It'd be a 2-possession game with about 5 minutes left. That is a tough deficit to surmount in that spot. But the Colts defense got to stop. They hold the Jets to a field goal. It was huge. Shane Steichen knew it. Here he is after the game talking about the importance of that stop.
Oh, there's no doubt. I mean, obviously, if they score there, it's going to be tough sledding for us, obviously. But they did blow up in that situation to hold them to a field goal, and we got that ball back with plenty of time. And it was huge to hit that play, to Alec, on the second down to get it down there, got some momentum. And then a great job after that. The next play, we hit downs down the pipe to get it down there to the 10. So it was a hell of a drive, hell of a team effort.
Shane Steichen right there talking about the defensive stop, and then, of course, the game-winning drive that ensued. The defense holding the Jets to a field goal in that spot gave the Colts a chance to win. They gave Anthony Richardson an opportunity to lead the Colts down the field and end the game. Okay. And they've done that multiple times this year. The thing is, though, Joe Flacco and Anthony Richardson and the rest of this Colts offense hadn't been able to deliver. This time, however, Anthony Richardson and the Colts figured it out, right? Anthony Richardson was sharp, on time, on target, on that final drive, just like he had been really the entire day. And he was able to get it done. The Colts are now 5-6 with their playoff hopes still alive. If this is the version, which it probably won't be, if this is the version of Anthony Richardson that the Colts get the rest of the year, not a doubt in my mind that they make the playoffs. If they get a slightly lesser version of Anthony Richardson this year, then they probably make the playoffs. We'll see, though. It's one game. I have many thoughts on Anthony Richardson. So we're going to do a little quarterback defense attorney when we come back here in about 4 minutes.
The best takes, stories, and entertainment. It's The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket, 1430 AM and 99.5 HD2.
What's going on? It's The Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy Sports Ticket. Hopefully you guys hopefully you had a nice weekend. No Indiana football to watch, but the Colts covered us up, though, right? Giving us a really good product. Okay, the Colts were awesome yesterday, right? It's the best that the offense had looked all year, and a large part of that was because of my client, Anthony Richardson. It's time for a little quarterback defense attorney. Anthony Richardson played really well yesterday. No way around it. I was sitting there. I was watching the game, just beaming the entire time. I was watching it with my friends. They're like, Jonathan, why are you so happy? Because, I have great friends except for the fact that they don't really listen to my show. But that's fine. I don't expect them to. And I was like, because I've just got a lot of property on Anthony Richardson Island, right? I've been in his corner the entire time. No way around it. And he was awesome yesterday. He was so awesome, in fact, that Shane Steichen, he was so awesome, in fact, that his head coach, Shane Steichen, a guy who has, I think, a guy who shows less emotion than a pillow, actually showed a little bit of emotion during his press conference yesterday. Here's Shane Steichen talking about the performance that Anthony Richardson had.
It was great. Composure was phenomenal. 20 of 30 throwing the football for 275, 2 touchdowns, and a touchdown pass. He was on it today. It was awesome.
Sorry, and to show that composure in the fourth quarter in particular, I feel like that's where he was at his best. What does that say about him?
I think it's excitement more than anything. I mean, the guy, we know how talented he is, and he put in great work this week. Got to continue that because we know what type of player he can be in this league for sure.
Shane Steichen talking about how great Anthony Richardson was yesterday. You could hear he giggled. He's clearly excited, and look, clearly he's happy after that win, big time win. The Colts needed it, and as he said, Anthony Richardson was incredible yesterday. By far the best game of his career. 20 of 30, 272 yards, a passing touchdown, 2 rushing touchdowns as well. That was hands down the best performance we've seen from Anthony Richardson. Okay, like that is what I think everyone needed to see, and I think that's what Anthony Richardson needed to experience. Like, he needed to know that he can be the guy, because he hadn't had a game like that yet. He hadn't. And you walk away from that game, or I walk away from that game like, okay, maybe he is going to be the franchise quarterback of the Colts for the next decade. I don't want to get ahead of myself. It's one game, and I am excited, and I feel very right now. But that one game where he completed 67% of his passes, that one game where he threw for 272 yards and a passing touchdown and finished drives off with touchdowns when they got down by the goal line, as awesome as all that is, it does not erase all of the bad things that he has done from my mind. But that is clearly progress. Okay, like there's one throw that he made. And look, like when he hits the deep shots to Alec Pierce and to Michael Pittman, and on the first 3rd and 8 of the game, he throws that ball to Josh Downs, and Josh Downs makes a great catch. Like, those aren't the surprising things. Like those were all things that we knew that he could do. But there's one play where he drops back. It's like 3rd and 3. Michael Pittman Jr. runs a quick 4-yard out route, and Anthony Richardson put it right on him. Right in the chest, Anthony Richardson. Michael Pittman Jr. catches it, takes 2 steps in bounds, walks out of bounds, 1st down, let's move the chains. That was the biggest thing, right? Like this small improvement in the short accuracy. Look, I don't expect him to make every single throw. I don't know if you watched Bills Chiefs, but Josh Allen missed multiple throws. Patrick Mahomes missed multiple throws. If you watch the Russell Wilson and the Steelers, guess what? Russell Wilson missed multiple throws. Like, it happens. Okay, like, you aren't going to be pinpoint accurate on every single throw, right? Like, he missed that first throw to Kyle and Granton, and I had people in my mentions immediately, which is crazy. But hey, I don't mind it. And honestly, I wish more people would tweet at me at __ Jonathan Smith. That would be great. And like you're going to miss throws like that from time to time. Okay, like we saw Justin Herbert miss a wide open Lad McConkey last night, just sailed it out of bounds. Like quarterbacks are going to miss throws from time to time. You just can't miss them at the same rate Anthony Richardson had been before yesterday. He was awesome. And look, if you tune in here, if you tune into the other station, wherever, you're going to hear people talk a lot about the physical performance that we saw from Anthony Richardson, and rightfully so, because he was great. Best game he's played. But the maturity is clearly gotten better. They have look, I'm not saying that he's a pro's pro like Shane Steichen did, but he has clearly developed in that area. There wasn't any he gets tackled, he fakes being hurt, and then gets up really fast. When he came off the field, they cut to him running straight to Jim Bob Cooter, Colts offensive coordinator, sitting down on the bench and looking at the tablet. He just looked more mature. After the game, at the press conference, he put his hat on forward. Big brownie points in my world, okay? Like, he just looked more mature. He looked ready to play. He looked ready to go. And that is why he had the best game of his career. Okay, like we saw everything in that performance. He ran the ball not great, but well enough. He hit some big plays down the field. He hit guys underneath, which is amazing. Like when you hit a guy like A.D. Mitchell underneath who runs a 4.31 in stride, it's almost like because he runs a 4.31, he can turn it upfield and pick up 33 yards like he did. Almost scored a touchdown there. Okay? Like it's amazing what happens when you hit the easy throws, and we saw him hit some passes over the middle as well, kind of in that like 10 to 18 yard range, and it was amazing. And as a guy who is a Dolphins fan, because I am, like, full disclosure, I'm not a Colts fan. I'm a Dolphins fan who has to sit back and watch Tua every week, but obviously, like, I didn't watch them much yesterday because I was watching the Colts game. As someone who has to watch Tua every week, like, I was jealous of watching the Colts offense. I was jealous of Colts fans because of Anthony Richardson's athleticism and how it allows him to make plays off script. When you look at the best quarterbacks in the NFL, Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, Mahomes, Allen, they all have that ability when the first guy is covered up and the second guy is covered up to leave the pocket or maneuver the pocket, keep the play alive long enough to find someone open. And we saw that from Anthony Richardson yesterday, specifically on third downs to keep drives alive, right? Like that ability to make plays off script showed up on multiple downs. Okay, look up. Michael Pittman Jr. is covered. Josh Downs is covered. Oh, crap. The pocket's breaking down because we're starting 3 rookie offensive linemen. And he was able to find a way to maneuver around, find someone who's open, and move the chains. Here is Shane Steichen after the game talking about Anthony Richardson's ability to create when plays break down.
Yeah, no, he had a few that, if the guy was hanging on him and he got away, it's like, throw it away. It's like, oh, he's hanging on to the ball. It's like, throw it. And he got it off, which was, phenomenal. Just goes to show you the strength that he has. But yeah, he made some big time throws, obviously downs there on the third down. And then obviously the one to downs that we scored the touchdown on too. It was good to see all the receivers kind of get involved.
That was Shane Steichen right there talking about Anthony Richardson and his ability to make plays after plays break down. Physically, Anthony Richardson was great. The accuracy was there. The arm strength was on display. The running ability was on display. The size and the strength to run over safeties, to get in the end zone, to score 2 touchdowns. Like that was on display. Like the Colts, though, I think the biggest thing, though, that we saw from Anthony Richardson was that when it was time to be the guy, he was the guy. The Colts needed back-to-back touchdown drives in the fourth quarter to win that game, and he provided both of them. And they weren't fluky. Like, the Jets didn't commit a face mask penalty. Like, nothing like that happened. Anthony Richardson was simply awesome. He was 8 for 10 on both of those drives. When he needed to be great, he was. When the Jets knew that he was going to throw the football, it didn't matter. He was still awesome. And that was honestly the best stretch of the game from him. Okay, like in my notes, after the third drive, I was like, this is what the peak version of Anthony Richardson looks like. And then he just got better. And then you look at the last two drives, it's like, oh, wow, that is impressive. His ability to rise to the occasion when the Colts needed him to was awesome. And the one thing that we have to talk about with him and his performance yesterday is the toughness that he displayed. Most 22-year-olds who take a job out of college, right, with this idea of I'm the next face of the company, I'm supposed to be the next CEO, I'm supposed to have a ton of success. 22-year-olds who take jobs with those expectations, then get demoted, probably pout, right? And then they sit in their lesser position and they're sad and they let it ruin their life, or their career life at least. That is not what Anthony Richardson did. Anthony Richardson got benched 2 weeks ago. He didn't pout, despite Joe Flacco, a 39-year-old, taking his spot for those 2 weeks. Instead, he got to work. He went in. They talked about how he met with Shane Steichen and those guys, and he did what Shane Steichen and everyone else in that building asked him to do for 2 weeks. Okay? Then, when he got an opportunity to show that he has improved, he comes out and he played the best game of his career. That, to me, is impressive. That is a sign of toughness. Like that is mental toughness on full display. Things didn't go my way. I have an opportunity to change the narrative, and he did. Okay, here he is after the game talking about how being benched really here he is after the game talking about returning from being benched.
No, I felt good, but today I was just taking it one play at a time. I wasn't even thinking about the past 2 weeks. I'm just thinking about where I am now. I'm in this stadium. I was in MetLife Stadium today, so that's where I try to keep my mindset at. Just make it work each play, and that one right there, I was lucky I was able to get in the end zone.
Anthony Richardson right there talking about just being in the moment. Like he whoever asked that question, I don't remember who it was, set him up to make a statement, to kind of send a slight message. Like in that spot, you could hear an Aaron Rodgers hinting at the benching, right? Anthony Richardson very, very easily could have said something about how he didn't like being benched. So, he went to work and, all those things. And he could have made a comment about how he thought he never should have been benched or anything like that. Instead, he sidestepped the question entirely. And that is a sign of maturity. Okay, the last time he started a game, we saw him make a grave mistake in addressing the media, saying he was tired when he came out. He didn't make a mistake there, okay? He had an opportunity to say something negative, and he didn't. He sidestepped the question entirely. That, to me, is a sign of him growing in maturity. The ability to work through failure is a sign of toughness and maturity, and you have to have both of those things to succeed in the NFL and really in anything. If you're not tough and you're not mature, you're going to have a tough going in the real world. Okay. And we not only saw that toughness and maturity in the way that he responded to the benching, but we also saw it in response to being down late in the game. Back-to-back touchdown drives when you needed it to win the game. Like that is a sign of mental toughness and pushing through hard things. And you have to have that at the quarterback spot. Look, I don't know if Anthony Richardson is going to be the future of the Colts franchise or not. I've been in his corner the entire time. Okay, we do the quarterback, the defense attorney when he plays bad, and it's fun, and I enjoy it. And I've had just a blast, defending this guy. Okay, but that being said, it's one great game. It's just one. Okay, and I will say, though, after this game, I think everyone is more comfortable with the idea of him potentially becoming the franchise quarterback going forward. Okay? In that game yesterday, he showed why the Colts took him 4th overall. And he also showed, the importance of that benching for 2 weeks. Okay? And as impressive as the physical tools were, I am more impressed with how he responded to being the guy again, with how he responded to being benched and the toughness that he showed late in the game to finish it off and to give the Colts a much-needed win. They're 5-6. Playoffs still very much possible. Okay, look, they got the Lions this week, who just hung 52 up on the Jags. So we'll see how that goes. We need another game like this from Anthony Richardson. Just an incredibly impressive game from him, and I can't wait to watch him play again on Sunday. When we come back here in 4 minutes, everyone was looking forward to that Mike Tyson, Jake Paul fight, and it wasn't super entertaining. My thoughts on that when we come back here in about 4 minutes.
Unadulterated sports talk with unfiltered takes. It's the real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket, 1430 AM and 99.5 HD2.
The real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy Sports Ticket. Hopefully you had a nice weekend. I know I did. Had just a blast watching football, watching the fights leading up to the Mike Tyson, Jake Paul fight, which I'm about to get into. But first, thanks for listening. No matter how you're listening, but maybe you're watching on Twitter, you can follow the station there at Ticket1430. You can follow me there as well at __ Jonathan Smith. Maybe you're watching on YouTube. The best place to watch Indy Sports Ticket. If you want to head over there, subscribe, join the chat, drop some comments on whatever it is that I'm talking about. Maybe you're listening in your car, 1430 AM, or maybe you downloaded that Indy Sports Ticket app, but you can get wherever you download your apps. Either way, I am incredibly thankful for your time to tune in and listen to the show. Let's talk Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. The conspiracy theorists were out in full force on Saturday morning. So if you listen to my show for any length amount of time, you know I can't stand conspiracy theorists. They drive me crazy. Okay, like the referees don't cheat for the Chiefs. They don't. The Chiefs are just better than everyone. And in relation to what I'm about to talk about, Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul was not rigged. Okay, and I woke up Saturday morning. I knew I shouldn't have even gotten on Twitter because I knew exactly what I was going to see. Okay, I knew exactly what I was going to see. I was going to see all these dumb people saying that the fight was rigged. It wasn't rigged. Mike Tyson simply looked like a 58-year-old. And guess what? He's 58 years old. That's why he lost. He was slow. Like his hands, slow. His feet, slow. His legs looked fragile. Okay? And honestly, as I watched the fight, I felt sad more than anything else. So I'm sitting here and I'm watching this legend in the world of boxing. He probably doesn't like it that I called him that because he's like, what is legacy? Everyone dies anyway. It really sounded like Joe Mazzulla there in that clip. But it was just sad. And I'm sitting there, I'm watching this legend at midnight get pieced up by a YouTuber. And it was crazy. It wasn't rigged. Okay? I get it. You don't like Jake Paul. Okay? But it wasn't rigged. Just like how you probably don't like the Chiefs because they beat everybody. That doesn't mean that things are rigged in their favor. I don't like Jake Paul either. But the fight was not rigged. Okay? I'm tired of people making a prediction about a sporting event or whatever, and then just because the sporting event doesn't go the way you wanted it to or doesn't go the way that you thought it would, doesn't mean that it's rigged. It doesn't. That fight wasn't rigged. Jake Paul's just 27 and Mike Tyson's 58. Of course that was going to happen. All right. And I don't like Jake Paul, but that dude's smart. He just made $40 million to stand in a ring and tap Mike Tyson's face for 16 minutes. That dude's a genius. That guy's really smart. And a lot of people cared about it. Okay. Netflix reported the number. It's 60 million people watching the stream, and then Antonio Brown, streamed it live from his Twitter because Netflix, the stream wasn't great, and then another 6.6 million people watched the fight on Antonio Brown's Twitter feed. It was insane, just the amount of publicity and the attention that it got, and Jake Paul beat him fair and square. The fight wasn't rigged. Mike Tyson just looked really, really old. Okay. Other things that happened over the weekend, Purdue and Alabama was the best sporting event that happened on Friday night. Okay. Purdue looked incredible, beating Alabama 87-78. Alabama wasn't great in that game. When it comes to Purdue, I don't think that they could have played much better. I think that's really kind of the easiest way to put it. They look good. I don't think that it could have been any better. Okay, so yeah, Purdue wins 87-78, and sorry, I got thrown off there a little bit. I've got people in my YouTube chat saying that the fight was rigged. It wasn't rigged. It wasn't. Sorry. When it comes to Purdue, though, they couldn't have played any better, right? They shot 56% from three. Okay, which they aren't doing that again. They might, but they're not doing that consistently, at least. Okay, Trey Kaufman-Renn had 26 points and 8 rebounds. That's the best game of his career. He was awesome. CJ Cox, a 3-star freshman, comes in off the bench, goes on a 9-0 run all by himself, and really turns the tide of that game. Turnovers, an area that Purdue has really struggled in this year leading up to that game. They only turned the basketball over 3 times. Like, Braden Smith didn't shoot the ball very well, but man, he did a great job, I think, of just running the offense. He had 10 assists. I think he just did a great job of getting guys the ball in the spots where they needed to be. The only thing that Purdue didn't do well was make free throws. They shot 64% from the line. It didn't matter, though, because they shot so incredibly well or so efficiently from three. So, like, offensively, like, you can't ask for much more, right? They had that low post presence that they needed, right, in Trey Kaufman-Renn. He was good. Caleb First gave him some decent minutes off the bench as well. Will Berg, absolute zero on offense, but he was impactful on defense. I'm going to get into that here in a second. But, like, it was kind of what I think people expected for Purdue to be. Fletcher Loyer shot it well. Braden Smith didn't shoot it great, still finished with 17 points. He had 10 assists, and it was Trey Kaufman-Renn underneath, really making an impact with the ball. And then you look at the defensive side of the ball. First and foremost, Alabama didn't shoot the ball great. Okay, they shot it, not very well. I think they were like 30% from three. And part of that was Purdue's defense, right? Getting out to shooters, getting a hand in the face, all that stuff. The other part of it was Alabama missed some wide open shots. Okay, like they missed some very makeable looks. And that's what kind of led into them being only 30% shooting from three. And when the three-point efficiencies are that different, when one team shoots 56% from three and the other team only shoots 30% from three, the team that shoots 56%, like Purdue did, is going to win that game pretty much every single time. Okay? I thought one of the more impactful players who didn't score, didn't even get a shot up, was Miles Colvin. Okay, played 20 minutes, defended Marcus Sears the entire time he was out on the floor. Marcus Sears almost won the Bob Cousy Award last year for the best point guard in the country. Like, that dude, like, he was an All-American last year. Like Marcus Sears is one of the best players in the country, and Miles Colvin, this sophomore who's Purdue's most athletic player, him or Cam Heide, was incredibly impactful on defense, did a great job of just staying in front, not fouling, making Marcus Sears shoot over him. He was impactful off the bench, even though he didn't score. Will Berg is big. That dude's huge. And because he's so big, he provided much needed resistance at the rim for Purdue. Okay. Like, he only had one block. He fouled way too much, but his ability to just stand there with his arms up was impactful. Okay. So I was surprised at how well Purdue played defense and rebounded, because Alabama was bigger at every position. Okay. On Friday, I ended up taking Purdue +2, but I said that the path to victory for Alabama was to dominate on the interior, like I thought they would. And they didn't, right? Part of that was, Purdue had better resistance at the rim. Another part of it was just the style at which that Alabama plays. They took a lot of threes, as they normally do. And another part of it was Purdue was just tough on the inside. Like, Caleb First comes in off the bench and was good, like, gave really good minutes and really good effort at the 5 spot. And, like, that's what you need to beat teams like Alabama. You need guys to come in off your bench and make an impact. Like, this Purdue team, I think, is a little deeper than I thought it was going to be coming into the year. It was an incredibly impressive win from Purdue. I don't know how sustainable it is, because they just aren't going to shoot 56% from three in every game that they play. But they are, once again, apparently, one of the best teams in the country. When March rolls around, if things go off the rails for them and they're a bubble team, this win is going to play a major role in them getting into the tournament. They look good. They're tough. Matt Painter just continues to find ways to win with no matter who is on his roster. And we shouldn't be surprised at this point because Matt Painter's been doing this for a long, long time now. The other basketball team, the Indiana Hoosiers played, and I was wrong on them. They looked good against South Carolina. They beat them by 16. That's a good win. They played a very complete game, almost. They shot 42% from three. I'm telling you right now, if they do that all year, then they're going to win a lot of games because that was what they were missing last year. They have multiple guys who can score. They had 5 guys in double figures, and Baco had 17. Miles Rice was great. He had 23. Renew had 13. Carlisle had 12. Galloway off the bench had 11. And look, when you have 5 guys scoring in double figures, like you're going to be incredibly tough to beat. Like you just are. Like if your offense is that good the entire game, then like I said, you're going to win a lot of games. And I was pretty impressed with the defense as well. Okay, the 3-point defense for them was huge. South Carolina only shot 28% from three. Okay, now part of that is South Carolina missed some open ones, but for the most part, I thought Indiana defended well. Right, they held South Carolina only 38% shooting from the floor as a whole. Like this is the best that Indiana has looked. They're clearly talented. I do have a bone to pick with them though. They gave up 13 offensive rebounds. Now, you could spin this and say, well, they gave up 13 offensive rebounds and they still won by 16. It's true, but most of the time when you give up 13 offensive rebounds, you're not going to win. Okay, and this time it wasn't on Omar Ballo. He had 13 rebounds. He didn't score very much, but he didn't have to take very many shots, which is probably a good thing. And, a large part of why South Carolina didn't shoot the ball well was because Omar Ballo had 6 blocks. Like that is impressive, right? Having a guy who can really defend the rim. Malik Renew, here's the bone that I'm picking, only had 3 rebounds. How does a power forward only grab 3 rebounds? Like that doesn't make any sense to me. Like he needs to be better in that area. Now look, Indiana shot the ball really well, so they won easily. That's not going to happen every game. And in the games where you don't shoot well, you have to do 2 things. You have to defend, which Indiana did, and you have to rebound, which they should be better at. Like this front line's huge, right? There's no reason that they should be giving up 13 offensive rebounds with the size that they have in the front court. Okay, Mbako is like 6'8", Malik Renew is like 6'9", and Omar Ballo is 7 feet tall. How are you giving up 13 offensive rebounds when you have that kind of size in your front court? That to me that is an effort thing. Like that is what that is, and that's just not acceptable. Okay, like you're at home. It's game 3. Like you've got the entire season in front of you. You know that your team's talented and good, and you grab 3 rebounds. Like, are you upset, Malik Renew, that you just didn't get enough shots? It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't. When you're that big on the front line, there's not a world in which you should give up 13 offensive rebounds. Makes 0 sense. 0 sense whatsoever. That is something that has to be cleaned up because South Carolina had some size, but they weren't huge. Like this is the one thing about the Big Ten. Every team's going to be big. Every team's going to have a 7-footer that they can throw the ball inside to and go get a bucket. Maybe not every team. Most of the teams will, though, because that's just kind of the style of the Big Ten. And when you're playing against other teams that have size, like you better rebound the basketball. Indiana didn't do that on Saturday, and that is the one thing that is concerning. But the shooting looks good. Hopefully that continues because you got to shoot the ball well if you want to win games in this era of basketball in general, not even just college basketball. So, Indiana, I was wrong about you. You won going away. Okay, are there some things to clean up? Yes. Maybe I need to calm down a little bit because it's only, game 3, game 4. It's early in the year. There's plenty of time to get guys to play harder. So, maybe I should just calm down slightly, but 13 offensive rebounds is just nuts with that size. Anyway, when we come back here at 11 o'clock, we've got true takes and mistakes, highlighting the things I got wrong, the things that I got right over the weekend and just throughout the year in general. We're going to get into all those when we come back here in about 5 minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for
It's the Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket, 1430 AM and 99.5 HD2.
What's going on? It's the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy's Sports Ticket. Thanks for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in, whether that's on YouTube, Indy's Sports Ticket. You can check us out there. Maybe you're watching on Twitter. You can follow the station there at Ticket 1430. You can follow me there at __ Jonathan Smith. Maybe you're listening via 1430 AM in the car. Maybe you're listening via that Indy Sports Ticket app, which you can download wherever you get your apps. Thanks again for tuning in. It is greatly appreciated as always on a victory Monday for the Indianapolis Colts. And before we talk about the Colts again, it's time for True Takes and Mistakes, where we highlight my victories and my defeats from my predictions over the weekend. As always, let's start with the True Takes.
I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
A lot of people don't like it when I'm right, and that's fine. You don't have to like it when I'm right. You just have to hear me talk about it here for a couple of minutes. I had the Colts beating the Jets. Didn't think that it would look like that. I figured it would be a lot of pressure on Aaron Rodgers. They got home a little bit. Kwity Paye 2 sacks, Leatu Latu with a sack. But outside of that, like, Aaron Rodgers had a pretty clean pocket for most of the game. It was the secondary holding it down. Like, that part was, kind of surprising, but I had the Colts over the Jets. We'll take that W. Next, I said Jonathan Taylor was going to be heavily involved in the offense, and he was. 25 touches, 13 carries in the first half, 11 in the second half. They really tried to involve him, and then they had the little screen that they threw to him there in the first half as well, and that took pressure off of Anthony Richardson, which leads me into the third thing I was right about over the weekend. Shane Steichen adjusted the play calling for Anthony Richardson, and it's large part of why the Colts won that game. Okay, it was just much more balanced. Like, there was a heavier reliance on Jonathan Taylor. They gave him some easy throws to make underneath. They gave him some short little out routes to throw. Like, it wasn't everything being deep down the field. Okay, so thanks again, Shane Steichen, for adjusting the play calling there to give the Colts an opportunity to win. Next thing that I was on, I had Purdue +2 against Alabama. They won outright. Knew that Mackey Arena would play a major role in that win, and it's a tough place to play. I've seen, I think, 2 games there now, 1 or 2, and when that place is rocking, I mean, it's as good a venue as any other place in the country. I think my favorite thing about it is that because of where the student section is, they can't rush the court. Okay, I think the court storming stuff is, I wouldn't say dumb, but like, it doesn't need to happen as often as it does. So shout out to Purdue for not only beating Alabama, but also not storming the court after you did it. Final thing I was right on, Jake Paul taking down Mike Tyson. Okay, I said that Jake Paul would win because he was 27, and Mike Tyson is no longer 27. Okay, 27-year-old Mike Tyson probably undoubtedly kills Jake Paul in that fight, but Mike Tyson's 58 years old. Okay, like that's a 31-year difference between the two guys. So, like, it's not surprising at all. Once again, that fight was not rigged. If you think it was rigged, then you probably just don't like the result of what happened. Next, we've got the mistakes that I made because I was wrong on multiple things over the weekend.
It's a made-up tale. It's a total fabrication. It never happened. This one was invented by a writer. Not this time. It never happened.
Mistakes that I made, things I was wrong on. I said that the Jets receivers were going to tear up this Colts secondary in every way, shape, and form, and that just didn't happen. Devontae Adams had a couple big plays. He had 6 receptions for 72 yards. Garrett Wilson, though, basically non-existent, 4 receptions for 18 yards. Like, it's what this Colts secondary has done this year is just, it's mind-boggling. Like, it really is, because there's just not a lot of talent back there. Nick Cross has gotten better. Julian Blackmon's non-existent, but, I guess he's doing his job. I guess he did it on Sunday at least, because the Colts secondary held up. Jalen Jones just has multiple pass breakups every game, and I'm no longer surprised by it. Samuel Womack, this guy that the Colts picked up off the waiver wire, has been, arguably the Colts' best corner this year. Like they have just found a way to keep teams out of the end zone for the most part, and a large part of that has been because these corners that, I didn't think were very good coming into the year have been awesome. Jalen Jones continues to be an absolute steal. We rip Chris Ballard on this station a lot, but I've got to tip the cap here. He took Jalen Jones in the 7th round last year, and Jalen Jones has been a good player for the Colts, and he picked up Samuel Womack on the waiver wire. Like, those are decisions that Chris Ballard made, and he needs to be given the proper credit for them. So Colts secondary was great against the Jets. I was completely and totally wrong on that. Next, even though I had Purdue covering +2, I thought that Alabama would kind of have their way on the interior, and that really didn't happen. Like, Purdue, the protection at the rim was good. Part of that's because Will Berg's just a really big body, and when you have to finish over a guy who has, that kind of size, it just makes things tougher. It just does. And so the interior defense from Purdue was impressive. Trey Kaufman ran. I forget how athletic that guy is, but he did his job on the interior as well. They only gave up 38 points in the paint. Purdue with 34. So impressed by that. Was completely wrong about Purdue and the interior defense that they showed on Friday night. Last place where I was wrong, I thought that Indiana was going to beat South Carolina, but I thought it would be a tough, grinded out kind of game just because of what I know about South Carolina. That team's tough. They defend. They rebound. But that didn't happen. Indiana won going away. They are immensely talented, something that we've known all year. They finally shot the ball well, something I've just been kind of waiting on them to do for these last 2 years. And so, impressive win by them. Really surprised by it isn't the right. Yeah, no, surprised by it. Like, I am surprised that they won that easily against a South Carolina team that's going to give several teams a lot of trouble this year as the year goes on. That is True Takes and Mistakes. We do that every Monday, highlighting the things that I got wrong and the things that I got right, because you enjoy hearing me say that I was wrong, and I enjoy telling you that I was right. So it's a best of both worlds there in that segment. Another best of both worlds scenario here. Colts versus Jets. Just what a win. I mean, the Colts needed it. They're 4-6. I'm not going to say that the season was on the line. That feels a little over dramatic, but they needed a win. They're 5-6. They've got the Lions coming up. That feels like a definite loss. I don't know what the line is on that, but let me actually check that out, because I mean, look, no one's going to pick the Colts in that game, right? But they now have an opportunity on Sunday to get back to 500 against the Lions team that's really good. And then from there, I mean, they're going to have, 5 games down the stretch that are all incredibly winnable, right? Like, they've got a game at home against the Titans. They've got a game at home against the Jags. They get to play the Giants, who are now going to play Tommy DeVito instead of Daniel Jones. So, like, the win on Sunday was big to give them a legitimate shot at the playoffs. They have to play at New England and at Denver as well. So, like, the New England game is going to be tough. They're better with Drake May. The Broncos game is going to be tough because Bo Nix is all of a sudden Superman. Like, I know we all thought that Jaden Daniels was going to be the rookie of the year. It might be Bo Nix now. Like that is how good he's been. The Colts are 7.5-point underdogs at home for this upcoming game against the Lions, which is kind of crazy. So this win for them was huge. Special teams played incredibly well. The offense played incredibly well. The defense played well. Okay, but let's start with the offense. The offense was the best that it's been all year long. All year long. Okay, like Shane Steichen and Anthony Richardson have been under fire all year, and rightfully so. Okay, the offense has looked antiquated. There's no juice. It was 5 straight weeks of this Colts offense failing to score more than 20 points. Like, that is bad offense from with a head coach that's supposed to be an offensive guy. Okay, and then this week, they figured some stuff out. The offense had some juice. Anthony Richardson had some juice. Jonathan Taylor, he had the juice in the first half. Multiple receivers got involved, and Shane Steichen had a good day calling plays. Okay, the offense on Sunday looked like what we all thought it was going to look like coming into the season. Okay, Jonathan Taylor was heavily involved. He had, 25 touches. Would have liked to have seen him closer to 30, but The run game just wasn't there in the second half, and so they peeled back a little bit. Like, that makes sense, and that run game in the second half was brutal. Jonathan Taylor only ran the ball for 15 yards in the second half. His longest run was for 9 yards on 11 carries. Okay, and they didn't totally abandon the run. They ran it 13 times in the first half for 42 yards. Like, that wasn't great either, but I appreciate Shane Steichen trying to take some of the pressure off of Anthony Richardson by giving Jonathan Taylor the ball and not abandoning that, even though things weren't going great. Okay, and then when it comes to the pass game, it's the best it's been all year. Consistent from start to finish. There was a nice blend of deep shots and easy completions and passes over the middle of the field. Like, Shane Steichen did a great job of just making things easier on Anthony Richardson by staying committed to the run and by giving Anthony Richardson just some easy throws. Okay, like, he didn't only have Anthony Richardson chuck the ball deep like we saw against the Houston Texans the last game that Anthony Richardson started. Okay, and it was nice to see, like, he ran Anthony Richardson as well. And receiver-wise, he got everybody involved. Okay, the Colts didn't overfeed any of the receivers. Alec Pierce had 3 catches. Downs had 5. Michael Pittman Jr. had 5. The tight ends combined for 4 receptions, and A.D. Mitchell had a big one that set up a touchdown. Like the ball was spread around really nicely, which makes you tougher to defend. And since the Colts don't have a Travis Kelce or a Justin Jefferson or a Jamar Chase, like, you have to use everyone. Okay, and Shane Steichen did a good job of doing that, and he did a good job of giving Anthony Richardson multiple easy completions, timed well with some deep shots. Okay, and I think something else that I really appreciated is he saved some for when the Colts needed them. Okay, like, when the Colts are down 24-16 and they're, and they got to go get a touchdown, he dialed up 2 big plays, right? They hit the 20-yard pass over the middle to Michael Pittman Jr., and then they hit the 19-yard pass down the left side to Alec Pierce. And then on the last possession of the game, they hit the double move to Alec Pierce, which ultimately sets up the touchdown. Okay, so once again, Shane Steichen had an outstanding day. One thing he did I didn't like: why are we bringing Grover Stewart and DeForest Buckner in to block the goal line? Like, let's just bring in, I don't know, maybe real offensive linemen who actually know how to block. Ooh, or maybe sign a fullback to block. I don't know. Just an idea there. The defense was good. I know they gave up 27, but 7 of those points came off the Richardson fumble. 7 more came off the kick catch interference that gave the Jets the ball basically in midfield. So, like, when the special teams or the offense didn't give the defense a bad hand, like, they were awesome. Like, the Jets didn't record their first down of the game until there was 1 minute and 56 seconds left in the second quarter. Like, they came out ready to play. They didn't give up a first down on the Jets' first 5 possessions. Okay, the Jets had 8 drives that went 4 plays or less. Okay, and that doesn't include the 2-play touchdown drive off of the Anthony Richardson fumble. Multiple guys showed up and played well. Kwity Paye had a day, 7 tackles, 2 for loss, 2 sacks, including the one on the last play of the game to put the game on ice. Leatu Latu had a sack and 2 tackles for loss. Jalen Jones, Samuel Womack, and the rest of the secondary were great, aside from the dumb delay game penalty that EJ Speed committed. He and Zaire Franklin were good. With that being said, like, you're not going to hold Aaron Rodgers scoreless. I don't care how old he is. The Jets put together a good drive to end the first half, right? To make it 7-13. Colts could have responded with a field goal, but Michael Pittman Jr. decided to have the ball go through his hands and hit him in the face mask instead of catch it. That's an interesting choice by a wide receiver, but the Colts won, so I'm not going to question that decision on Michael Pittman Jr.'s part, right? So it's 13-7 going into the half, and then Anthony Richardson has the fumble. Jets score again. It's 14-13. Colts kind of feel like they're reeling, and it feels like things are about to just go terribly for the Colts. And they didn't. The team was tough. They stayed in it. They kept working, and you look up, it's 24-16. Colts find a way to score a touchdown. It's 24-22 because they didn't get the 2-point conversion. The Jets are up, and they need a touchdown to end the game. Like that is where the Jets were at that time. And So the Jets are moving the football, and it feels like they're going to score a touchdown. They're going to go up by 9, and that's going to be it. But that didn't happen. The Colts defense stood strong. They did something that they've done all year. They gave the Colts a chance to win. They gave Shane Steichen and Anthony Richardson an opportunity to lead this offense down the field and score a touchdown. Okay, like, look, everyone's going to talk about Anthony Richardson today, and they should, like rightfully so. He's been awesome all year, or he was awesome yesterday. Like he should get the bulk of the praise. But that stop by the defense is every bit as important as what Anthony Richardson did on Sunday. Here is Colts head coach Shane Steichen talking about the defense holding the Jets to a field goal late in the game and just how important that was.
Oh, there's no doubt. I mean, obviously, if they score there, it's going to be tough sledding for us, obviously. But they did blow up in that situation to hold them to a field goal, and we got that ball back with plenty of time. And it was huge to hit that play, to Alec, on the second down to get it down there, got some momentum. And then a great job after that. The next play, we hit downs down the pipe to get it down there to the 10. So it was a hell of a drive, hell of a team effort.
Shane Steichen right there talking about the defense and just their immaculate, not immaculate, that's a bit much, but their much needed stop at the end of the game, holding the Jets to a field goal as opposed to giving up a touchdown, which probably would have ended the game. But they hold the Jets to a field goal, and that gave the Colts a chance to win, something that they've done several times this year. The difference, though, is that the previous times the Colts offense hasn't been able to get it done. Yesterday, they did. Anthony Richardson leads the Colts down the field. They score a touchdown. They go up 28 to 26 or 27, excuse me, and the Colts hold on to win. Just an impressive performance from that offense. The Colts are 5-6. Playoff hopes are still very much alive. They shocked the world on Sunday. They beat the Lions. Then everyone's eyes will really be open. Like, oh crap, they're 6-6. They're kind of surging late. Anthony Richardson might be figuring it out. We'll see. But I've got a lot of thoughts on Anthony Richardson and the best performance of his career when we come back here in about 4 minutes.
More winners, more often. It's the real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy's Sports Ticket, 1430 AM and 99.5 HD2.
What's going on? It's the real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy's Sports Ticket. Hopefully you had a nice weekend. Colts, big win over the Jets, keeping those playoff hopes alive. And my client, guy I've been defending for quite a while now, Anthony Richardson, coming through big time, big fourth quarter. It's time for a little quarterback defense attorney. Anthony Richardson getting it done for the Colts. 5-6 now on the season, 6-5 in career starts for Anthony Richardson. That is the Colts record. He was just incredible yesterday. Slinging the ball short, deep, intermediate, accurate, throwing the ball on time, on target, hitting, getting everybody involved. Just a really impressive performance from him. It's the thing that Colts fans have been waiting for. And he finally delivered. He finally delivered on all of the potential that we know that he has. The potential that's been talked about like crazy ever since he was drafted number 4 overall. Anthony Richardson was nothing short of spectacular yesterday. He was so spectacular, in fact, that Shane Steichen, a guy who shows about as much emotion as a chair, actually showed a little bit of emotion during his press conference yesterday while talking about Anthony Richardson.
Was that phenomenal? 20 of 30 throwing the football for 275, 2 touchdowns, and a touchdown pass. He was on it today. It was awesome.
Sorry, and to show that composure in the fourth quarter in particular, I feel like that's where he was at his best. What does that say about him?
I think it's excitement more than anything. I mean, the guy, we know how talented he is, and he put in great work this week. Got to continue that because we know what type of player he can be in this league for sure.
That was Shane Steichen right there talking about his young quarterback, the guy that the Colts took 4th overall, Anthony Richardson, and just the really impressive game that he played yesterday against the New York Jets. And in case you missed the numbers there, Anthony Richardson, 20 of 30. That's a 67% completion percentage for all my completion percentage people out there, for 272 yards, a passing touchdown, and 2 rushing touchdowns as well. 3 total touchdowns. He accumulated over 300 yards on his own between, passing and running the football. I mean, he was incredible. Like, there's really just no other way to put it. Just everything that he put out there, the 9.1 yards per attempt is a nice little number in there as well. This was the performance that we've been waiting for. He showed that he is capable, not that he will be, but that he is capable of being a franchise quarterback. That is the best we have seen him play, and that best is good enough to beat a lot of teams in the NFL. Now, look, I don't want to get ahead of myself. It's one game. And it doesn't erase all of the bad things that we've seen from him. Okay? It doesn't, but it does show the progress that he has made. It's almost like players get better the more that they play. I don't know who came up with that concept, but that guy's pretty smart. All right? Like, he looked like a legitimate franchise quarterback on Sunday. Okay? He just like, not even just in the play. Like not even just the way that he threw the football and the way that he ran it and the way that he led the team down the field to win the game. Like he did the other things that you expect franchise quarterbacks to do. There wasn't any, he gets tackled, lays on the ground for 10 seconds and then pops up really fast. Like none of that fake being hurt stuff that we've seen him do previously this year. Okay, whenever he came off the field, on drives where they didn't score, or even drives where they did score, they show the camera cutting to him, running to the sideline, sitting down by Jim Bob Cooter, Colts offensive coordinator, to go over that most previous possession. Okay, like small things like that, we saw him do. He looked ready to play, right? And because of that, he played the best game of his career on Sunday. Once again, 20 of 30, 272 yards. Yards per attempt, at 9.1, a passing touchdown and 2 rushing touchdowns. Like, that is a great game for anybody. Okay, and we saw everything from Anthony Richardson on Sunday. We saw him run the ball well enough. Okay, we saw him hit some big plays down the field. We saw him hit guys underneath. We saw him make some intermediate throws over the middle. Every decision that he made with the football was good. Okay, like he showed why he was the number 4 overall pick. He showed why people care so much about the potential that he possesses. And I've grown up a Dolphins fan, still am, and watching Anthony Richardson and watching Tua are just two completely different experiences, to a point where I was kind of jealous watching the Colts on Sunday, because Anthony Richardson's athleticism allows him to make plays off script, right? It allows him to, avoid pressure and extend plays long enough to where like he can find someone open on third down, right? And that ability played a role in the Colts win on Sunday, right? Like that playmaking ability, the ability to make plays off script showed up on multiple third downs. He'd snap it, look up, okay, Josh Downs is covered, Alec Pierce is covered, Michael Pittman Jr. is covered. Let me, bust out of the pocket, right, as the protection begins to break down. And let me extend this play long enough to find someone to throw the football to. That was the thing. He was maneuvering and breaking the pocket with the intent to throw the football, not to run. And because of that, he was able to extend drives and move the chains multiple times for the Colts. Here is Shane Steichen after the game talking about Anthony Richardson and his ability to create plays outside of structure.
Yeah, no, he had a few that, if the guy was hanging on him and he got away, it's like, throw it away. It's like, oh, he's hanging on to the ball. It's like, throw it. And he got it off, which was, phenomenal. Just goes to show you the strength that he has. But yeah, he made some big time throws, obviously downs there on the third down. And then obviously the one to downs that we scored the touchdown on too. It was good to see all the receivers kind of get involved.
That was Colts head coach Shane Steichen right there talking about just the multiple plays that we saw from Anthony Richardson, off schedule, where he just, made something happen because of his athleticism. Physically, he was just great. He showed why he was the number 4 overall pick. The accuracy was there, finally. The arm strength, fully on display. The legs were on display. The strength to run over safeties and get into the end zone was on display. Like the Colts needed back-to-back touchdown drives in the fourth quarter to win that game. And while Shane Steichen dialed up everything beautifully, Anthony Richardson executed it. He was 8 for 10 with a touchdown pass on those 2 touchdown drives in the fourth quarter, back-to-back, when the Colts needed it. When he needed to be great. When the Colts went to him, they're like, hey, man, if we're going to win this game, you have to be awesome. He was great. When the Jets knew that the Colts were going to throw the football, it didn't matter. It didn't matter. He still delivered the ball accurately, on time, and on target. And once again, it was the best that he has played. Again, I don't want to get ahead of myself. It's one game. Okay? And as much as I'm going to talk about how great he was physically and how much everyone is going to hit on that, I think that we also have to touch on the toughness that he has displayed over these past few weeks. Most 22-year-olds who get demoted probably pout. Okay, and they do the whole woe is me bit, and then that's it. Especially when they take a job expecting to have a great career and expecting to have the total support of everyone and expecting to eventually be the face of whatever business they work for. Okay, and then, most 22-year-olds, when they get demoted in that spot, probably pout. Anthony Richardson, however, did not pout, despite Joe Flacco taking his spot for 2 weeks. Instead, he went to work. Okay, he went in that meeting with Steichen and whoever else was in there, and they laid out the expectations for him. They laid out the things that he wasn't doing correctly. And Anthony Richardson took the criticism, obviously well, worked on those things, and in response to being benched for 2 weeks, his first opportunity to prove that he can be the guy, he came out and he was. And he played the best game of his career. That is a toughness thing. The ability to respond well after you fail and when everybody is slowly turning against you. Here he is after the game talking about the benching and if that had any impact on him yesterday.
No, it felt good, but today I was just taking it one play at a time. I wasn't even thinking about the past 2 weeks. I'm just thinking about where I am now. I'm in this stadium. I was in MetLife Stadium today, so that's where I try to keep my mindset at. Just make it work each play, and that one right there, I was lucky that I was able to get in the end zone.
That was Anthony Richardson right there talking about being benched, and I think that what he said there is awesome. He just stayed where his feet are. He just stayed focused in the moment. He didn't think about the past. And look, everything he said, he was supposed to say. Because that there's got to be some part of him that's just like, yeah, that's why you don't bench me. That's why I was the number 4 overall pick. And he could have boasted a little bit in that spot, but he didn't. And I think that's a sign of maturity. Okay. And it's like, well, Jonathan, of course he said that. Everyone says what they're supposed to say. He didn't do that 2 weeks ago when he said he pulled himself out of the game because he was tired. So it's nice seeing a bit of maturity in the media from Anthony Richardson. Okay. The ability to work through failure, like Anthony Richardson has done, is a sign of toughness and maturity. Okay. And you have to have both of those things to succeed in the NFL, and not even just in the NFL, in life, in anything. If you are not tough and you are not mature, chances are you will not succeed. Okay. That's just kind of the way that things go. Okay. And we not only saw that in the way that he responded to being benched and the way that he played on Sunday, but we also saw it in the response to being down late in the game. Back-to-back touchdown drives when you absolutely have to have it to win. That's a sign of toughness. The ability just to stay in it and to keep working, that's a sign of toughness. And that's something that you have to have at the quarterback spot. Okay, now look, I don't know if the Colts are going to have Anthony Richardson be the future of the franchise or not. Okay, there's still 7 games left this year. Okay, he's probably going to be the starter again next year because this quarterback class isn't great. Okay, they are still actively evaluating Anthony Richardson. This one game doesn't really change much of anything. Okay, it just gives us a little bit more hope of maybe he's going to be the guy, right? But the whole 44% completion percentage to start the year just doesn't go out the window because of one great game. Okay, I've been in Anthony Richardson's corner as much as anybody, but this doesn't change that many things. It's one great game with a lot of bad ones. Okay, so once again, I don't know if he's going to be the future or not, but the chances of that happening after that game definitely went up. He showed why he was the number 4 overall pick. He showed all of the impressive tools that he possesses. Okay, and as impressive as that was, as impressive as the 20 for 30 and the hitting short passes and long passes and intermediate passes and running over safeties for touchdowns, as impressive as all of that was, I think the biggest thing with Richardson was how well he responded to being the guy again and the toughness that he showed late in the game to get the Colts over the finish line. It was a great game from him. It was incredibly impressive, and hopefully this is the Richardson we get for the rest of the year. It's probably not. There's going to be some downs definitely coming because, once again, the dude's 22. He started 11 games. He started and finished 8 games in his career. Okay, so there's mistakes are going to happen, but this was a great glimpse of what things could be eventually. We'll have to wait and see. Something really disappointing happened on Friday night. Mike Tyson and Jake Paul fought. Not great. I'm going to give you my thoughts on that fight when we come back here in about 4 minutes.
Often imitated, never duplicated. It's the real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Tickets, 1430 AM and 99.5 HD2.
What's going on? It's the real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy's Sports Ticket. Hopefully you guys had a nice weekend. I know I did. What was supposed to be, at least, the event of the weekend didn't really pan out very well. Mike Tyson, Jake Paul, that fight was boring. I felt kind of bad for the old 58 for the 58-year-old man in the ring, right? And I think that people were expecting more, right? I mean, like, how could you not be? It's Mike freaking Tyson taking on a YouTuber. It's just kind of like you're sitting here and, like, I don't know about you, but I stayed up till midnight, which isn't really out of the ordinary for me. Like, I like to stay up late and watch games and do all that kind of stuff. So of course I was going to stay up and watch Mike Tyson, because for me, it was like, I would like to tell my kids one day that I got to see Mike Tyson fight, and I can tell them that, and they're going to be like, how cool was it? I'm like, it wasn't cool at all, because he was 58 and he clearly was 58. That fight was not rigged. And look, I had an excellent weekend. Okay. I played pickup basketball Saturday morning, hung out with a bunch of my friends on Sunday, did a little Friendsgiving, had a blast. Like the weekend was great. But if one thing in my weekend upset me, or, let me think how to say this. Yeah, let's just go with upset me. Let's just go with that. It was waking up Saturday morning and experiencing all of the crazy people saying that the fight was rigged, right? With no explanation of it. Okay. Of oh, well, the fight was rigged for this reason. Forget the fact that it was a sanctioned legal fight. Yeah. Just forget that. They're totally going to rig something that's sanctioned. Yeah. That totally makes sense. Okay. That fight wasn't rigged in the slightest. Okay. Anyone with half a brain, I wouldn't say half a brain, anyone that had seen Jake Paul fight before and had seen what 58-year-old men usually look like, no matter how great of athletes they used to be, would have known that Jake Paul was going to win that fight. Okay. And it doesn't mean that Jake Paul's a better fighter than Mike Tyson career-wise. It just means that 27-year-old Jake Paul is a better fighter than 58-year-old Mike Tyson. Okay. That's why Mike Tyson lost. Watching the fight, Mike Tyson was slow. His legs looked fragile. He just looked really frail from the waist down. And I got to be honest, I felt really kind of sad for the most part for Mike Tyson, and really, I think just for the viewing experience, because everyone kind of, I think, had this expectation of this is going to be awesome. It's Mike Tyson, and sure, he's a little bit older, but he's still got the power is still there, and I think he got Jake Paul on a couple good punches, but I mean, that's really it. That fight wasn't rigged. Please stop saying that it is, just because you wanted Mike Tyson to win, or just because you don't like Jake Paul. Okay. Wasn't rigged. Exactly what should have happened. The 27-year-old guy that's in shape beat the 58-year-old. It's not surprising in the slightest. Let's talk a little basketball. Purdue delivered on what ended up being the best event Friday night when they beat Alabama at home, 87-78. Really impressive win for the Boilermakers. I took them +2. Let's go. Shout out Zach Gray, who came on the show Friday and told you also to take them +2. Here's the thing. I don't think they could have played any better. They shot 56% from three. Trey Kaufman-Renn had 26 points and 8 rebounds. CJ Cox, a freshman, comes in off the bench, goes on a 9-0 run by himself, hits 3 threes in a row. Insane. And to top it all off, they only turned the basketball over 3 times. The only thing Purdue didn't do well was shoot free throws, which they shot at 64%, but it didn't matter because they shot 56% from 3. Okay? Look, when you shoot the ball that well from deep, you're going to beat everybody. Just no way around it. And then when you get the production you get from Trey Kaufman-Renn on top of that, 26 and 8, hands down the best game of his career, good luck. Good luck beating Purdue if they're going to shoot the ball that well, and Trey Kaufman-Renn's going to be that dominant underneath the basket. Nate Oates said it himself after the game. He was like, I didn't realize he was that good. But he is that good, right? Moving Zach Edey out of the way really helps him, gives him more space to just operate and be a good player. He can't go left, which really bothers me. It's like, how are you a Division I basketball player and you can't go left? But aside from that, the dude was awesome. Defensively, they did a good job keeping Alabama in check. Alabama didn't shoot it great. Part of that was Purdue's defense. I thought they did a good job of getting out and closing the shooters. Other part of it was Alabama missed some open shots. They shot 30% from three, and when the 3-point percentage discrepancy is that big, like a 26% difference between what Purdue and Alabama shot, like the team that shoots 26% better from three is going to win pretty much all those games. Like that's just what's going to happen, and so like that's why Purdue won. They just shot the ball better, but part of that is the way that they defended. Miles Colvin, a guy who's probably not going to get a lot of love. It's going to be a lot of Trey Kaufman rim was great. Braden Smith didn't shoot it great, but he had 17 points and 10 assists. Fletcher Loyer was 5 of 9. He had 17. Like those are the guys that I think people are going to talk about, and CJ Cox and the run that he went on. But Miles Colvin off the bench was awesome defending Marcus Sears. Like Marcus Sears is an All-American level player, a guy who almost won the Bob Cousy Award last year for the best point guard in the country. Like that guy is awesome. One of the best players in the country. And he didn't play great. He struggled. And a large part of that was because Miles Colvin played for 20 minutes and defended his butt off. Okay, he is probably the most athletic player on Purdue's team. It's him or Cam Heide. Therefore, he is the best defender, and he just did a good job of staying in front of Marcus Sears and making him take tough shots. So shout out to him. He played a large role in Purdue's win despite not even taking a shot. Will Berg, big dude, he's a 0 on offense. Will Berg can't score against me, I don't think. And but he's big. And in a game where Purdue needed to have some sort of resistance at the rim, Will Berg was able to stand there and put his arms up and make guys finish over him, which is impressive. Like they played really good interior defense and they rebounded well enough. I think that they were out rebounded by 3 on the game. And I thought that the discrepancy in rebounds would be bigger because Alabama was just much larger at every single position than Purdue was. Okay. And I thought Alabama would dominate the interior. That didn't happen. And part of that was, of course, the style of play that Alabama plays. They want to get up threes. But the other part of it is Purdue was just tough underneath. They were. Caleb First came in. He gave good minutes off the bench. That's still kind of been the question is what is Purdue going to do without Daniel Jacobson, a guy who's really talented as a freshman, can score and defend and do all those things. And he's 7'2". And it looks like Caleb First might be the answer to that question. Just played hard, rebounded, and made free throws late. So that was big for Purdue. Just really impressive from the Boilermakers. I don't know how sustainable it is because they just aren't going to shoot 56% from 3 in every game that they play. But once again, they appear to be one of the best teams in the country, which isn't surprising because Matt Painter just continues to churn out good, tough teams that find ways to win. It's just incredibly impressive from Purdue, everything that they did on Friday night. They've got a tough game coming up tomorrow night. They're playing Marquette. Okay, like their non-conference schedule is not easy, right? And so next they've got Marquette. Should be another good test for Purdue. Let's see how they respond and take on Shaka Smart's team out of Wisconsin. So should be good there. Playing Marquette tomorrow night. Indiana, they picked up a win as well. Surprising. I'm not surprised that they won. Surprised at how easily they won. They beat a good, tough South Carolina team by 16. That's a good win. Okay, I thought Indiana would win. I just figured it'd be a lot tougher than what it was, right? But they played a complete game. They shot the ball well, which is a great sign. 42% from 3. If they do that, then they're going to win a lot of games. Okay, they have multiple guys who can really score the ball. Obviously, Mbako, he had 17. Miles Rice hit a few threes. He finished with 23. Malik Renew had 13. He hit a 3. Carlisle had 12. He hit a couple threes. Galloway had 11 off the bench. Like, when you have 5 players that score in double figures, like you have a good chance of winning games. You do. Like, you're going to be really tough to beat when you're that balanced across the board. I thought that they defended well. Okay, South Carolina only shot 28% from three, only 38% from the floor as a whole. Like, that points to the defense that Indiana played. Sure, South Carolina missed some shots that they probably could have made. I'm not going to say that they should have made them, but like, that was impressive from them. Like once again, like, this is just the most complete that we've seen Indiana play all year. Okay, like the talent is there, right? No one can deny that. The transfer class was good. The Bryson Tucker kid is interesting. But like, they played well. They did. I have one issue with how they played. They gave up 13 offensive rebounds. Like, that's just not okay. Like, I don't get it. And look, now you could spin this and be like, yeah, they give up 13 offensive rebounds, but they won by 16. Like, that makes the win even more impressive. And like, sure, I guess, but most teams, if you give up that many offensive rebounds, like, you aren't going to win. Like, you just aren't. Right. And thankfully, with Omar Ballo playing, he was awesome. 13 rebounds. He was not why Indiana struggled on the boards. And he had 6 blocks. Right? Like, why did South Carolina shoot 38% from the floor? Because of Omar Ballo being awesome at the rim. Malik Renew, though, three rebounds from your power forward. How does a power forward only grab 3 rebounds? Like that doesn't compute for me in any way, shape, or form. Like he has to be better than that. Okay. Now look, IU shot the ball incredibly well from 3. Right, and because they did that, they won easily. And if they continue to shoot like that, then the rebounding won't be as big of a deal. But like, there are going to be games for Indiana where they don't shoot well. And that's not because Indiana is a bad shooting team per se. That's because it's basketball and you have days where you just don't shoot the ball well. And on those days, like, you have to defend, which IU did. Once again, held South Carolina to 38% shooting from the floor, 28% from 3. And you have to rebound, which Indiana did not do. Okay? I'm not going to say that they didn't do it. They could have been better at it. It's probably the better way to say it. 13 offensive rebounds. Like, when you look at the front line for Indiana, Mbako's like 6'8", Malik Renew's like 6'8", 6'9", and then you got Ballo, who's 7 feet tall. When your front line is that big, when your front court has that much size, there's no reason you should give up 13 offensive rebounds, right? They gave up 16 offensive rebounds earlier in the year as well against SIUE. So, like, this isn't a one-time thing. This is the second time that we've seen this happen. And when it comes to Indiana, like, you've got to be better rebounding the ball and finishing possessions. To me, rebounding's effort, and the effort wasn't there from Malik Renew on Saturday, which has to change. Once again, Colts, big win yesterday. Anthony Richardson, he might be it. He might be the franchise quarterback. He was awesome. 67% completion percentage, something that we all wanted to see, hitting throws all over the field. And I'm hopeful. Okay, my hopes aren't up too high quite yet because, we still have a long way left to go. Okay, this doesn't erase all the bad stuff we saw from Anthony Richardson to start his career going back to last year and this year. Okay, but this was a leap in the right direction. Okay, like, this is by far the best game he's played, set career highs and pretty much everything, passing yards, completion percentage, tied his career high for touchdowns in a game with 3, like, just really had it going. And the fact that he was able to do this without a solid run game, like Jonathan Taylor, they gave him the ball a lot, which is good. Hopefully they keep doing that. But it wasn't like Jonathan Taylor ran for 130 yards. Like the Colts won this game because of Anthony Richardson and his ability to throw the football, which is encouraging because they have the Jets this coming Sunday. And they have the Lions this coming Sunday. And that's obviously going to be a really tough game. That game's here at home tomorrow at 11 o'clock right here on the Real Jonathan Smith Show. Zach Hicks is going to join me. He and I were going to talk a lot about Richardson, a lot about this Colts team that played well really in all 3 phases yesterday. And there's hope. Like, there's legitimate hope going forward for this Colts team. Hopefully it stays that way. Can't wait to have Zach Hicks on tomorrow at 11. The Dan Dockett Show is coming up next from noon to 3. Todd Leary, the Power Hour with Kent Sterling. All that is going on. It's a normal Monday and it's going to be an absolutely great show. Keep listening, stay here, and enjoy the Dan Dockett Show, which is coming your way here in 5 minutes. I will talk to you tomorrow at 10 o'clock.